All right, welcome back to Cold Combat Science. Today I'm here with Jackson Glass. He just came off of his first amateur MMA fight, and today we're just going to kind of talk about his fight and where his career is kind of heading in the next couple of months and years. So, what's up, Jackson?
What's up, guys? Just got back from Houston. Good MMA fight. Got to finish in the first round. Back to training already. Feeling pretty good.
So, how long have you been planning for this MMA debut? When did you decide that you wanted to start fighting MMA?
Originally, I started with jiu-jitsu first. I started doing Muay Thai pretty seriously like 5 years ago. The plan was always MMA at the end. It was just hard to do MMA fights as a kid. I didn't really like going to compete without head strikes. It just didn't seem as good compared to like doing Muay Thai, where you can do pretty much full rules, punches, kicks, knees, elbows. I think the experience there was really good for me getting good at striking, but the plan was always MMA. So I think once I started doing Muay Thai like 5 years ago, the end goal was always to start doing MMA, especially starting jiu-jitsu first. It was just starting to like tie things together a little bit more. And then as soon as I was able to turn 17, I was able to fight for Fury. And then, obviously I had my first fight last weekend.
Yeah, so kind of like a lifetime of preparing for MMA, but then as you got close to your 17th birthday, it was like pretty calculated, right? 1 month after you turn 17, I guess in Texas, you got to have your parents kind of approve that fight, but then you're able to just jump right into it. So what can you tell me about your fight?
The fight was, it was pretty quick. My opponent, we didn't know too much about him. We just knew like kind of the gym he trained at. We saw a little bit of sparring footage. That was really it. So just going into it, big thing to remember, my coaches reminded me was just to stay patient. It's like, of course, I want to knock out in the first 15, 20 seconds, but got to remember to stay patient. There's still 4-ounce gloves on, and you could be way better than somebody, but you can still get clipped in MMA a lot easier than other sports. So the fight kind of started. I kind of, looked to take center. My opponent threw a couple leg kicks. He got me a pretty good leg kick in the beginning. My shin's a little sore today. And he threw a couple head kicks at me. None of them landed. They were pretty close to landing, but I had pretty good distance, and he made them just miss. I started catching him a little bit with my right hand a little bit more, and then about 30 seconds in is when I dropped him. I had told my dad before the fight that if I drop him, I was going to let him up and then immediately jump right back on him, and that happened, so that was pretty cool to see. After that, we kept circling around a little bit. He ended up trying to shoot on me. I was trying to time a knee, but my knee just missed his head. So after that, he kind of came up. He had an underhook. I had a whizzer. I was able to hit a pretty good harai, and that landed on him on his back. I stepped over to mount. I didn't really want to do too much grappling. I wanted to finish on the feet, but it was still good to mix some grappling in for my first fight. He ended up standing back up. I kind of hit him pretty hard to the liver. After watching the fight back, I noticed it hurt him pretty bad. So he started circling around a little bit. I got a pretty good angle, eventually set up my left hook, dropped him again, and then from there it was just some ground and pound, and the fight was over. So
Nice, dude. So kind of going back in time, what do you feel like helped you be ready for an MMA fight? Because I know, we've gone all over the country doing jiu-jitsu tournaments together and stuff. Gi, no gi, like you said, you had your experience in Muay Thai. So as like a youth athlete, what do you think that you did over the last couple of years that allowed you to be so ready for this MMA fight?
I think just the mix of training I've been doing. We used to have Cody Steele here. Me and Cody would drill striking every day. We'd drill grappling every day. We would do MMA sparring here. We'd go places sparring MMA. I think it was just the combination of different things I was doing. It was even training the gi still helps me in some ways. Training no gi all the time. Even just going to 7 a.m. sessions where I'm not training all the time, but I'm still learning stuff. I think just all the mixtures of training that I've been doing between the different martial arts and then going different places to train. I've been going to Syndicate pretty regularly now. Every couple months, there's so many good guys. There's Marab just won the title there. They have Khalil Roundtree fighting for the title coming up. Cody's out there now. There's tons of good guys. But I really think it comes down just to the experience I've learned, or the stuff I've learned from training and just getting comfortable there. A lot of these guys I'm fighting have only been training for a year or two. They're doing MMA, so they're going to get good pretty quick. But for me, it's I've been around the sport for so long, and I'm just going to have a lot more knowledge than them and basically be able to apply that stuff a little bit better.
All right. So what are you looking for next? I did see on Instagram that you said something about a fight in November. Is that locked in yet?
100% probably going to fight in November. I probably will do another amateur fight. I did want to go pro, and I did say afterwards on the mic that I was going to go pro. But after talking to my coaches and some other people, I think it just makes sense to do one more amateur. It doesn't hurt, especially since we have a guy that agreed to fight. It's not like I'm looking for another fight and have to go through this whole process of, this guy said yes, this guy said no, he's injured. We got a guy that 100% wants to fight, so I think it doesn't make sense not to take that fight.
Nice. And then what, as a 17-year-old, I've never really heard of anyone in their teens making it, and maybe Raul Rosas Jr., but I've never really heard of anyone making it to these major organizations. So do you feel like the next couple of years is just kind of, you've started MMA now, but you're going to have to kind of fight your way into places like the UFC, or are you going to try to chase those as early as possible?
I don't want to rush it. That's the big thing. It's like I've had a lot of good people tell me like, make sure you don't rush it. I still want to compete a good amount in jiu-jitsu. Like I still love jiu-jitsu. My goals are still like, whatever the big tournaments are in the next like 2 years. Who knows where those could be? But I still want to try my best to be, at a high level of grappling. So we'll see where that goes too. And my kind of overall plan is to fight after I do this fight in November. It's kind of like every 3 months or every like 4 months. So lock in really hard, then take a little time. Maybe work on my jiu-jitsu, my wrestling, go from there, then fight again. There's not really a rush. I'm only 17. It's like there's not going to be a huge gap between making it at 19 or 20, but I'm not rushing it. Like my goal isn't to necessarily try to beat like how fast Raul got into the UFC. I care more about like developing and making sure I'm ready for those fights. I think the end goal for me, or not the end goal, but a big goal coming up would be to be on Contenders in about 2 years. I think 2 years is a good timeline. Let my body grow a little more, see what my real weight class will be, and then kind of go from there.
Nice. Yeah, maybe accumulate a couple professional fights before then.
Yeah, for sure. The goal me and my coach talked about was at least 5, if not 6, pro fights before even looking at Contenders.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on again on your win in your first fight, and I'll definitely be there for your second one.
Let's go.